Yes, we are rolling. So I'm doing some panel lines here. This is really hard because I'm not an artist when it comes to airbrushing. And I really don't have a plan for how it should look, but when it's done, but I guess this will be fine. But it's hard, really hard. So panel lines are done. So now it's time to add the main color on the fuselage and the bottom color. And then we're gonna do some masking because it's gonna be like two-tone colors, two tones paint on this one. So let's start paint the main colors. So I'm using a Mr. Paint. This is absolutely one of my favorite paints when I'm airbrushing. So now I'm laying the first coat of the main color. And I try to keep the preshading visible. So I'm applying small amounts. I think this is easier than the preshading itself. So by doing pre-shading, we are getting some structures to the panels, so they look more realistic. So the main color on the fuselage is done, and you can see the pre-shading is visible, and that's why I love Mr. Paint, because it's really easy to apply the exact amount of paint you want on the subject. So far so good. So now it's time to mask the plane again and paint the other color on the top side here and around the cockpit area. So let's get started to mask this puppy up. Well, stupidity has no name. I managed to do the templates, so it works really nice. I will show later in this video how I did them. But I took the wrong bottle. They are not supposed to be green, they should be dark gray. So let's begin and do it and start all over again. Shit happens. So here is the manual, and here you can see how it should be painted. It should be dark gray and light gray. So this is a quite difficult pattern to create. If you do it by freehand, by airbrush, it will not get these sharp edges that you want. So I scanned this page in my scanner, and then I brought it up in Photoshop, and then I reprinted it on a regular sheet. I had to scale it up by 2.5 times. So now I'm gonna cut out this part that should be over the engines. So we start with that. And I'm using my knife, it's easier. So I just cut it out. So here I have my draft, or what you should call it. And then I'm having this paper. It's self-adhesive. So if I just take the back off, I can use it as a sticker for my template. So the first thing I do is taping this piece of paper where the outlines are on this self-adhesive paper. And then I cut this one out like this. So now I'm just going to trace the contours on the outside of the dark color. There we have it. Now we take the next one. Should maybe zoom in a little bit so you can see it better. So now I'm cutting this one. Like so. So here I got my templates for the paint above the engines. So I just cut this in 2 pieces. So here I have them both. And of course, the first attempt I did, I got the wrong paint bottle. It should not be green, it should be dark green. So I'm gonna apply these. So I'm gonna apply this sticker there and the other one on this one, and then I'm gonna spray them again. So here you can see me working with my homemade templates. It's working really good. So I just applied this template over the starboard wing, or the left wing. So now we're gonna spray that one. And you see we have the wings on the right side done, the ailerons, so the rudders. So now we're gonna paint this and see how it looks like. So I'm spraying with the metric system 1 bar. I'm doing the edges first. And I have adjusted my airbrush so it's not coming that much paint. Now we can paint with a larger amount of paint. There we are done. So now it's time to remove the mask. I just have to wait maybe 1 minute. So now it's time to remove the template. So I'm removing my protection sheet first. And then we take this one. And then we take this tape on the side here. Like that. And here comes the template. It's made of paper, so I have to take it really careful. Yeah. And as you see, we're getting somewhere, and it looks really nice. So this was an easy way to take care of the masking of this strange pattern this airplane has. So now I just have a pattern left here on the neck of the cockpit and around the front of the cockpit. And then it should be done with the main painting. Fun! So we got the decals on the plane, and the decals were really good quality, so they were fun to work with. And I have started to weathering the plane. The panel lines are so thin that it's really hard to get the wash in. So I'm not sure exactly how I should attack this problem, but this is how it looks like now with a small weathering effect on it. So I will continue, but it looks nice. The F-15C MSIP. So my workbench is a mess, as always when you're finishing up a model. So it's not much left. Weapons and landing gears are on its way, and some details around the cockpit is missing. Other from that, it's almost time for the photo session and the reveal of this little puppy. And of course I will give it a Scalemodel score when it's done, to see how many points it gets. So far I was a little bit tired of it in the end, but now it feels a little better now, when it's almost done. So now I'm doing the marble effect. As you can see, I have done it on the wings and on the ailerons in the back. So I will show you how to do that. I'm using regular oil paint, nothing strange, combined with 3 different colors. I have red and green and black. And I'm just adding some dots where I want it to be, like this. Start with the red color, and I'm cleaning my brush, and then I'm taking a little green, just add some small dots here and dots there. Doesn't have to be uniform, it could be anywhere. So there we have some green, and then I will add some black oil paint as well. Like so. And when I have those there in place, I will take a bigger brush. It's this size brush. It's medium soft. And I will dip it into white spirit just to get it moisture. And then I will start, we call it in Swedish, we call it ströppla. I don't know the English word for it. Maybe dripple or something. You start off by doing this, mixing the colors with white spirit. And you work your way over the paint so it starts to get mixtured. Then I'm cleaning the brush with white spirit and going over it again. And as you can see, we are getting that marble pattern on the fuselage as we wanted. And this is basically always on the top side of an aircraft, so you don't have to do it on the belly if you don't want to. I always do the top side of the airplane with this marbling effect. You get quite a good and nice texture when you're doing like this. So it's just regular oil paint and white spirit and 2 brushes. Add a little too much white spirit, but we're getting there. So this is how you can easily make those patterns on your fuselage. Okay. So it's time to give the F-15C a Scalemodel score. So we will start with the instructions. Were they easy to follow? I would say they were quite normal, nothing special with them. The painting guide, I would say it's a little bad. The decal guide, however, was quite normal. Were there any errors in the instructions? Yes, there were some errors, of course. Was the instructions informative about the plane? Not much, I would say. So that gives a total score of 13 points within the instructions section. So let's go down to the spruce. The details on the part, I would say they were high, even though the panel lines on the fuselage was not deep enough, so you couldn't really get weathering to stay in those, do you call it crevices? Because they are too shallow. So that was a little bad, but otherwise the details are quite high. Were there any seam lines on the spruce? None. Ejector pin marks? Yes, there were at least 4. There were 2 in the air intakes in the jet that I had to put some putty on, and then were others on some doors for the wheel housing. Flush were none. The 3D design of the parts, I would say it's poor because many of the parts around the fuselage didn't have any support, so you had to glue them just flat side by flat side, and that felt a little bit weird. The plastic was normal. Any parts not fitting, so there were none parts fitting. So there we have 21 points for the spruce. So let's head down to the build. Build level, I would say it's hard because you have to cut off the tail on the plane, and then you have to glue the new part, and then you have to sand it down and have put some putty on it. So I would say it's a hard model to build. Parts ratio, there are too many parts in this box, and there's a lot of parts you're not using, so I guess this kit is for different versions of the F-15. I would say many parts there. Fun factor, in the end it was quite boring, but I would say it's a boring model due to the fact that you have to cut and put putty on, and you have to sand it, and there was also a seam line on the canopy, so too bad. Durability strength, I would say it's normal, nothing special. Decals are very high quality, so they were really fun to work with. Overdesigned CAD, no, it's a normal CAD, and there were no surprises in the box. So that gives the F-15C a total point of 49 of the maximum of 74. And here we have the finished model. And there will be some photos after this short video sequence.